Hi there, I'm Adam Kirbas here in Ordu in Turkey. This is a region, the Black Sea. Oh, yeah. And we are back. I'm back. I have been recording Wednesday my short story, and you should definitely check it out. So that there is no mistake about it. This is what I've been doing, and this was a test, like I said, I wanted to try out audio books. I actually wanted to record another audio book, which I thought would be suitable. This was the screenplay. Well, I had originally planned it as a screenplay, Yamilias. But then I decided in the last moment that it would be actually better that I write it as a screenplay, because before that, I'm right now writing a screenplay Lifesaver. I don't know whether you know about it, but it is on Wattpad. You can check it out. And in a way, I'm already struggling with the screenplay. Before that, I wrote Invert. Invert was a screenplay about religion, which I wanted to write an entire season or a series. The first season, at least, I think this was feasible, or some sort, in a way, to sell the screenplay, if it is suitable, if it is possible to movie producers. Because we live in a streaming era, so streaming gains more and more support. Streaming, like streaming services like Netflix, HBO, Apple, and so on, they are gaining ground. And movies, this is actually what Netflix pretty much showed, that movies are important, yes, but more and more TV shows come into being more important. And however, I wanted to go into this gap. You somehow learn screenwriting while you are doing it. This is not very easy. Of course, there are a lot of literature about screenwriting, especially there are literatures about how to write a movie. Some of them are actually really good, and they are pretty much lining out in detail how you write a movie, what you have to be considered, and so on. And of course, and then there is, of course, a TV show, and in a TV show you don't find much material. In a TV show you have, of course, some literature which tells you, you have to have a story arc. Yeah, this is true, especially if you have a sitcom. It is easier to write a sitcom, or to structure a sitcom, whereas in a sitcom this is very difficult, especially the jokes. I think this is the essential part of a sitcom, that you have those working jokes, those working one-liner. If you only think of Friends, of Seinfeld, the main part in a sitcom is indeed the jokes, so that you get a laugh. But however, if you write a series like which is more intricate, especially intricate characters, where a lot of characters play together, then this is pretty much difficult in that sense. I give an example. If you, for example, the Dark Knight trilogy from Batman, they were very successful with Christopher Nolan, and I mention this because there is some analysis how the Dark Knight, and how the scenes or every scene and the movie itself is structured. I mean, this is pretty much good, and I think Mark Hammond and some others have analyzed it, and I can only warmly recommend it. I mean, for a matter of fact, there is a lot of analysis on movies on YouTube. YouTube is some sort of in a new way of you can get a lot of access information. I mean, if you are like me, if you're an autodidact, if you do not know much about movies, I mean, if you only know watching movies but do not know what is behind it, I mean, then it is indeed a bit difficult, of course. And I saw the difficulties in my first series I wrote. This was in Invert. I mean, in Invert, this was pretty much difficult, however, but I will come to that. But one key difference to a movie is if you write a series, this is the development of a series. Because if you have some sort of a movie like The Dark Knight, I mean, this is pretty much easy in that sense. I mean, you have Bruce Wayne. I mean, Bruce Wayne in The Dark Knight trilogy, this is the central figure. And if you see that the Dark Knight trilogy is actually pretty much built on this, on one character art and everyone, and this is some, in a way, this switching back and forth between Bruce Wayne's life, who is the Batman. I mean, this is really the central figure on Batman, and then those villains. And if you watch this movie, Christopher Nolan, and you immediately realize this is all about Batman. I mean, of course, the movie is about Batman. Batman plays a central figure. However, what is very important is that when this, what is important is, especially if you write a series, or is the scenes. I mean, which scene follows another, especially if you have a very intricate story with a lot of characters, not with one, but with many characters. I mean, think of Game of Thrones. I mean, there you have a lot of characters, a lot of scenes, and then the big issue there is not only how to structure a scene, because of course a scene, this is what you read everywhere, has three structures: a beginning, center, and then the end. I mean, or this is in general, but this is so general that if you work on a scene, this is pretty much, so general that it does not really help you. I mean, of course, in the first act, you want to some sort of go into this scene. You want to easily clear out what is the issue of this scene. Then in the second act, somehow you work towards a high point, and then in the third act, you then some sort of have a conclusion and so on. However, this is all easy if you make movies, because in a movie like Dark Knight or whatever, this is some sort of linear. This always starts with Bruce Wayne in his childhood. This is, you have some sort of a linear development of time. So if you only think about how the Dark Knight and so starts with the first part of it, then you know, this is Bruce Wayne as a child, and then gradually he grows up, he finds himself, and then you have always these villains. I mean, this is some sort of a switch back and forth. This is some sort of a dual-live structure of a movie. So when every time when Bruce Wayne or Batman does something, there's a switch to the villains here, what they're doing there. So it is always the opposite. So if Bruce Wayne, for example, with Ra's al Ghul is on the mountains and so on, he learns something. He learns stamina or whatever it is. He learns to understand himself. This is, if you see, this is some sort of has many ties to the Count of Monte Cristo, so with Edmond Dantes in prison. And Abbe Farida, or the priest, becomes his great master. The priest teaches him, and more Edmond Dantes becomes this machine, becomes this fighting machine, and he understands what happened to him in the account of Monte Cristo. The protagonist Edmond Dantes was deceived by his friends, by his close ones, by Edmond, by Fernand Montego, by Dongla and Cadarus. So this is a little bit different from the movie. The movie, especially the movie with Guy Pearce and so on, they some sort of reduce part of it. But in the book, and you should definitely read Dumas. I mean, Dumas or the Count of Monte Cristo is really great work, as well as the Three Musketeers. There is structure very important. However, and then you see, but in order to go back to Batman: The Dark Knight, I mean, there it is pretty much linear. So everyone Bruce Wayne does, then it is always switched to the villains, to the opposition in that sense. I mean, in the beginning, the opposition seems to win. I mean, this is how it also, so it is some sort of a back and forth between those characters, between good and evil, and then you always see, I mean, every time when Bruce Wayne does something bad, then it appears like that the villains would be win, and every time Bruce Wayne does something good, I mean, when he's trained by Ra's al Ghul, then you see a switch to the villains, what they do wrong, and so on, how they prepare, why they are struggling, what is with it, so, and especially around this key concept of what is being taught to Bruce Wayne by Ra's al Ghul. So you have here a very simple switch of the scenes, because this is what we are talking about here, what is a big issue. So especially what scene follows another one, what scene should follow another one. So you have here, for example, if you only think of the Dark Knight Rises, or the Dark Knight in that sense, there is one scene of Bruce being somewhere in Tibet and trying to find himself, and then you see then a switch to New York and crimes and so on. So this is some sort of a very good switch, and this is some sort of in a way back and forth, and this is easier if the storyline is some sort of a linear. So Bruce starts from his childhood. Bruce starts. He lost his father, he lost his family, he has some sort of lost his anchor in this world, he doesn't know where to go and so on, and then the story develops actually with Bruce coming into age. The story develops with Bruce Wayne becoming this adult, then becoming Batman and so on. And this is actually then here the scene transformation is actually easier. Even all those characters, or all those sidekicks like Rachel and so on, they play actually all a crucial part in that sense that they pave the way to Bruce, because Bruce, even though Bruce is not visible, or Batman is not visible in a scene, you see in the entire trilogy, it is about Batman, especially when the Joker in the second part, when the Joker enters the scene, you see one iconic exchange between the Joker and the Batman, when the Joker in the second part gets caught, or deliberately wants to be caught, and Batman asks the Joker whether he wants to kill him, and the Joker, with a great acting skills of Heath Ledger, says to Batman, "No, I don't want to kill you, you complete me, and then you see some sort of there vividly the two parts of the coin in that scene, and this is how